Hotel, welcome back to Matthew Daniels TV. I know I haven't went live in a while, but I'm back now. You're not tuned in with the number one author in Tech City, Texas, America, the whole goddamn world. If you ain't your number one biggest fan, who gonna be it? But anyway, y'all saw the title. Today, we're gonna be dealing with the legend of Isis and Ra, Egyptian magic. How does it work? That's what I'm about. I got a real good one for y'all today. I came to y'all a couple days ago and I made a video, and I told y'all about a video I was watching on Side TV, right? Where he had the comedic alumni on. He had the comedic alumni on Shaka Amos, Asarium Kai, Smash Rockwell, and Brother Jabari. Now, I came in the comments of that video, and I came in the comments of several videos where we had the comedic teachers on, and I kept telling them, hey, why don't y'all start teaching the people about Egyptian magic? You know what I mean? Whether or not you believe it's real or not, it's not about that. It's just about giving the people the information. Hey, appreciate that little something. I appreciate you too, brother. I appreciate you too. We're going to stay in the field. We're going to keep pressing. We're going to keep giving out the information, and we're going to keep doing things in our community. You know, it's just a lifestyle, family. It's a lifestyle. That's how we live. But every time I left those comments trying to get these brothers to expound on comedic magic, Egyptian magic, just because I feel like it's an interesting topic, they never really wanted to go in depth with it. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to start a little series of my own, and I'm going to start breaking this stuff down because they want to pretend like the Egyptians didn't talk about magic. Yeah, they talked about magic. They talked about magic a lot. And I'm going to show y'all one story at a time. So the first story that we're going to be dealing with the legend of Isis and Ra. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys exactly how the Egyptians believe that their Egyptian magic worked. I'm going to show you how Egyptian magic worked. And then a couple of further videos, I'm going to actually show you some of the spells. Now, this particular story, they're calling it the legend of Isis and Ra, but it's actual science embedded within the mythological story. Okay, it's science embedded within the mythological story. But if you don't understand the culture, if you don't understand the words that they're using, and you don't understand modern science, you're not going to be able to put two and two together. So I'm going to break this down for you in this particular story, and I'm going to show you guys how this thing worked. I'm going to show you guys that a lot of the time when the Egyptians were talking about performing magic, they were actually talking about science. Now, some of their ideas about science may have been primitive, and it may not have been correct, and it may not have actually worked. But what is the scientific process? Let's say right now, if you were to get sick, let's say it's a new disease that come out, you get sick, you go to the doctor. The doctor has to run several tests to try to figure out what's wrong with you. Now, if they determine that you have a disease that there is not already a cure for, what do? They have to try to come up with a cure to the disease that you have. How do they come up with that cure? They do it through tests and experimentations. They'll take this herb, this medicine, combine it. They'll give it to you. They'll study the results. If it works, good. If it doesn't work, they will create a new formula. They'll create a new formula, a new mix of herbs and medicines and diet plans and exercise plans. Tell you to try that to see if it will actually cure you of your disease. Now, when you look back into the ancient world, and you see sometimes they're talking about magic spells, they're talking about potions, they're talking about, oh, if you take this herb and you take this herb and you take this element and you take this mineral and you put it together, it will cure blindness, or it'll heal your bad back, or it'll heal aching joints. They're actually talking about it's the exact same thing. Now, the combination of ingredients that they may use may sound weird to us. You know, when Shakespeare wrote one of his stories, and they talked about the witch's cauldron, and they take the wing of a bat, the eye of newt, the leg of a frog, the bone of a cat. All of that stuff sounds like primitive things to us, but these are ingredients in what we call potions. But what the heck do we think medicine is? Medicines have a list of ingredients. Now, some of these ingredients may be weird. They may be far-fetched, and they may not even work, and they may cause bad side effects. And all medicines don't work on everybody the exact same way, but it's all the same thing. We're just looking at it from a 2025 perspective instead of looking at how this stuff will be applied thousands and thousands of years ago. So let me just make sure that my video is good. Give me just a second. Let me make sure that my video is good, my audio is good, and we're going to get into it. Let me get my share screen up. Let's get that presentation going. And we're going to get right into it, family. Give me just a second. We're going to be dealing with the legend of Isis and Ra. And we're going to be talking about Egyptian magic. How does it work? And we're going to be determining if it's real or not. And remember, magic doesn't have to work in order to be real, just like medicine doesn't always have to work in order to be real. It's just that if it doesn't work, you try a different medicine. You try a different combination of things. All right, so I got the PowerPoint up. So we're going to get right off into it. So the story that I'm going to be showing you guys today, this comes out of a book that I have by E.A. Wallace Budge, and it's called Legends of the Egyptian Gods. Now, they always put titles like legend, myth, story. They always put a title on these ancient Egyptian tales to make your mind be predisposed to think that all of this is fake, phony, and fraud. Okay, so automatically when you hear the word legend, you're thinking about something that's not real, that doesn't have any type of scientific value to it. It's just a good story, it's just Harry Potter, it's just Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's just Horton Hears a Who, Dr. Seuss book. Okay, but a lot of these tales were written by the priest of ancient Egypt. And now a priest of ancient Egypt was not just like a pastor or an imam today. In today's world, they weren't only concerned with the spirituality of the individuals that they were teaching. These priests that we call them today, they were actually highly trained individuals. You had some priests who were doctors. You had some priests who were chemists. You had some priests who were builders. One of the most famous that a lot of people know about is Imhotep. Imhotep from the Third Dynasty, who was responsible for building the step pyramid. He was a multi-genius. He was an architect. He was a builder. He was a doctor. He was a scientist. But he also was a priest. See, in order to be a priest in ancient Egypt, you couldn't just read the text all day and talk about the gods and talk about the Neteru. You had to have knowledge about a specific scientific field. When they had these different priests who were associated with different gods and different Neterus, that was like different crafts or different guilds. These were the builders. These were the eye doctors. These were the individuals like when a woman was pregnant, she would go to the priestesses of Hathor, because Hathor was one of the deities that was centered around childbirth. So an individual who was pregnant would go to the priestesses of Hathor and get, prenatal, what we would deem to be prenatal vitamins. She would get the treatment that she needed to make sure that she had a healthy baby. And when she got ready to give birth, she would go to the temple, which is really like an ancient hospital. She would go to the temple and the priestesses would deliver the baby. And they would deliver the baby in a clean and sanitary way in order to make sure that the baby comes out healthy. They had priests who were eye doctors. They had priests who were stomach doctors. They had priests who mended broken bones. If you had a sore throat, you would go to another particular type of priest. If you had a bad heart, you would go to another particular type of priest. If your joints were hurting, you would go to another particular priest. If you needed something built, you would go to another particular type of priest. This is how they were able to build structures like those pyramids, because they had the knowledge and information about how to work with stone, how to work with chemical compounds, how to make the colors that they painted on the walls with and have these colors last for thousands of years. Okay, somebody had to do science to make a mummy last for thousands of years. You don't get that just by preaching from a pulpit. You have to have knowledge and information. A lot of these temples were colleges and schools. Okay, so the individual that constructed this story of the legend of Isis and Ra, they put within it scientific information that you will not be able to extract unless you already know it's there, you understand the culture, and you understand modern science. But I'm going to break it down to you. I'm going to give you guys a brief overview of the story, and then we're going to read it. More or less, in the legend of Isis and Ra, the goddess Isis, or the Neteru Isis, she wants to become a powerful sorceress. She wants to become a powerful magician. She wants to have the power of the gods. Now she's living on earth, and she wants to have the power of the gods, more specifically the god Amun-Ra. So she's going to take some of his spit, create a serpent out of it. When that she has that serpent bite him, and then when Ra is looking for somebody to heal him of the venom from the serpent, she tells Ra, hey, look, check this out. The only way I can heal you is if you tell me your secret name. If you tell me your secret name, I can use your secret name to heal you. Because she knows, if she knows the god Ra, Amun-Ra, if she knows his secret name, then she will have the power of Amun-Ra. And so she tricks him into giving her his secret name, and thus she becomes one of the most powerful magicians, powerful sorceresses on planet Earth. Sounds like a fanciful tale, but I'm going to show you guys what this is really talking about. Now, I keep saying magic. Now, you're not going to actually see the word magic when you're looking into the Medu Neter. The languages are different. That word doesn't exist. The word that you're going to see is Heka, okay? Heka, or they're going to say words of power. Heka is what we call today magic, or the power of the gods, right? Words of power, the way you speak a thing, the way you say a thing, and not only being able to speak something a certain way, say something a certain way, but to understand. If you understand how to say it, you understand how to manifest it in this physical reality, because you cannot say something correctly unless you know what it is. I'm going to get into the names of things later on. Okay, you go to the doctor, you have a headache, or you have a tumor. The doctor can't heal you unless that doctor knows the words of power. Not necessarily that they can say something over your body to make you well, but they know the names of the individual medicines and treatments and how to properly perform those treatments that will heal you. See, if you come to me and you have a tumor, I don't know the words of power that will heal you. I have no idea what to prescribe. I don't know what it's called. Many of us don't. Many of us, even when the doctors prescribe us medication, we can't even pronounce it. We can't pronounce it. We don't know the ingredients in it. We don't know how much of this, how much of that. But the individual that knows those details, they know the words of power. I want y'all to look at something. I got it highlighted on your screen, but I'm going to zoom in on one of it, just so you know I'm not just making this up. Look, right here in the Egyptian dictionary. Let's look at this word on your screen. Heka. Heka. What is Heka? Magic. The power of working magic, sorcery, spell, incantation, charm, word of power, plural. So if anybody tell you that the Egyptians didn't have no concept of magic, they lying. They just don't want to confess. Look down here. Look down here. We got Heka again. Heka, to utter charms or spells or incantations, to recite words of power, to bewitch. Okay? Magic and Heka is intimately connected to the words that we use. I'm going to show you why as we move forward. But you cast spells, you work magic with words. Why? Because I want you to think about something. If me and you are having a conversation, right? The only way the conversation makes sense is because we're both speaking the same language, for one. And we have a general understanding of what the words that I'm using mean. So with my words, I have an idea in my mind. I use my words to describe the idea in my mind. And so when I speak those words to you, what am I doing? I'm putting an idea into your mind. I'm manipulating what you think about what I'm saying. I'm creating the picture in your mind. And based on how I paint the picture in your mind, that is going to dictate the reality of what you see, right? I could say something as simple as tree. I use this example all the time. I could tell you tree, right? Now, I know when I say tree, automatically you're going to get a basic understanding of what I'm talking about. Something out in nature. We got a brown trunk. It got branches. It has leaves on it. Okay. But then I can say tree blowing in the wind. Boom. I just changed that image of just a regular tree with my words. I say tree blowing in the wind. You see wind blowing, making the branches flow. Okay. Then I can say tree struck by lightning. Tree struck by lightning. You imagine what I'm saying. Okay. So I can, in essence, create your reality based on the words that I use. And not just the words that I use, based on the definition of the words that I teach you. Okay. If I teach you, when you go out into reality, I hold your hand, you're a child, I point to what we know to be a tree. I say, hey, little man, that's a car. I have now corrupted your total understanding. I cast a spell on you to where you will never understand when somebody trying to talk to you about a real car because you thinking a tree is a car. I say car, I'm talking about something that drives down the street. You're thinking about a trunk with branches and leaves. You will never get it. And the media uses this all the time. We call it propaganda in today's world. They'll just say something over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and they'll change your reality about something. It's propaganda. They'll make you think something that's really bad for you. They'll make you think that it's good. They could take something like cigarettes. Now, I don't care if you smoke cigarettes, that's on you. But we know that cigarettes can be harmful to your health, right? But I can cast a spell on you to make you forget that cigarettes are harmful to your health if I always associate smoking cigarettes with something that's fun, exciting, good. Okay? You cast spells with your words, how you define a thing, how you name a thing, and how you choose to describe it. Look, Heka, enchanter, magician, sorcerer, Heka, and the words associated with Heka, we're talking about Egyptian magic. Look at this name, Heka-ur, the magician of Afu-Ra, who cast spells on the foes of the god as he sailed through the Tuat. And that's basically like the underworld. Okay. This one at the bottom right, Heka-u Metcha'u, Heka-u Metcha'u, book of spells. You see, just like I told you, I just want to prove all things. Heka is words of power. Words of power is magic. Okay, so if they tell you that Egyptians didn't deal with magic, they're playing a word game on you. they dealt with Heka. Okay, they dealt with Heka. And so we're going to look at how Heka is actually intimately tied to actual science. I just told you how it's tied to psychology, because based on how I define a word, if I define a word for you, then I use that word, I automatically create a reality in your mind. It's how they was able to get so many people to go along with our enslavement centuries ago, right? They use their words to cast spells on the minds of the Europeans in America to make them think that the black people were subhuman. You know, they subhuman. They subhuman. They not human. They animals. They animals. They lazy. They lazy. They subhuman. They subhuman. They subhuman. And those words created a reality in the mind of the people to where they then could do anything to our ancestors and not feel bad because they had a spell cast on them. This is real. It happens all the time right in front of your face. I'm going to give you one more example, then I'm going to move on to the story. They just did it with the word woke, and some of y'all may not have seen it. They just did it with the word woke. They cast a spell on the whole goddamn world, or at least on all of America. A couple of years ago, woke meant you were aware of what was going on. You could tell when someone was trying to manipulate you. You did not believe the lies. You were not easily fooled. To be woke was a good thing. Think about it. A couple of years ago, to be woke was a good thing. Individuals wanted to be woke. If you said, hey, I'm woke, that meant I'm aware of what's going on. I'm not falling for the propaganda. I'm not a sheep. I know what's really going on behind the veil. So the power structure, since they understand the concepts that I'm telling you about Heka and words of power and magic and casting spells, what they are going to do, they hijack the word. They say, okay, this word is casting a spell on people, a good spell, and it's waking them up from their slumber. So we're going to take this word from them because we can't have them using this word for their benefit, and we're going to make it bad. And I swear to God, I was telling all of my friends when I first saw them doing it, because I understand this concept. I say, man, have y'all noticed how the media is starting to try to change what woke is and make it seem bad? None of my friends understood what I was saying. This was years ago. I told them, I say, just pay attention. Just pay attention. They casting a spell on everybody with the word woke. And then you started seeing it. It just all of a sudden it stopped being just, in the conscious community, in the back alleyways, the people that's kind of on the outskirts of society that don't believe the government, that don't believe nothing. They were using that word. Then you start seeing all the news stations start using it. Politicians start using it. Presidents start using it. Right? CEOs of companies start using it, and they always try to use it. They will find something negative, somebody negative, some crazy kook, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's woke. Oh, I'm so sick of this woke culture, the woke culture, the woke culture," and they associated it with so much negativity that they switched it. They cast a spell that switched the positive power of the word, and they made it a word associated with negativity. It's like they took it. They took it from us. To where now individuals don't really want to be woke. Now some people, they want to be woke, but think about what I'm saying. Woke, now it's a major push to associate that with negativity. That's what casting spells is, family. That's what casting spells is. They just did it in our face a couple of years ago, and they do it all the time. But most people don't understand this. They don't understand this. Okay. Now, the tale of Isis and Ra that we're going to be dealing with is thought to have originated sometime during the New Kingdom of ancient Egypt. We're talking about somewhere that's starting around 1575 BCE. That's 3,575 years ago. Now, all the instances that have survived the passing of time come from the town of Deir el Medina during the 18th dynasty. better known as the Thutmose dynasty, because many of the pharaohs were named Thutmose. So the story that we're going to be dealing with, it very well could be older than this. But we know for a fact that this story is an ancient story, and it was definitely told and retold and written and rewritten in the 18th dynasty. And what you see on your screen is an actual artifact. That's an ostracon that has the tale of Isis and Ra written down on it. So we're not talking about something during the Greek period, the Persian period, the Roman period. No, we're talking about pure ancient Egyptian information. Because a lot of times too, when you say something that the regular Egyptologists don't like, they're gonna say, "Oh, that was the Greeks. That wasn't the no, the Egyptians talked about magic. Accept it, deal with it. They was talking about magic in the 18th dynasty." Now, what's an ostracon? Just because I like to give out information. An ostracon is like pottery, bowls, vases, jars, and they have writing on them. Okay. Now, a lot of times over the years, these things get broken. Of course, you can have a plate, a bowl, a cup in your house that can get broken. So if we're talking about 3,500 years ago, yeah, a lot of this stuff is going to be broken, and it's going to be broken up into fragments. So this ostracon is like a piece of pottery that was used for something, but they had this tale written down on it. Now that is possibly because whatever this piece of pottery was used for, it probably was used for some type of magical, quote unquote, scientific, quote unquote, medicinal purpose. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing, right? Maybe they mixed herbal remedies together inside of this thing. So they wrote the tale of Isis and Ra on it because they're trying to invoke that power that this story is actually invoking. Because it's not just a story. I'm gonna show you guys that it's science embedded within the story, but you have to understand how to draw it out. Okay. Now look, let's get right off into the story, and I'm going to break this down as we go along. Look, the legend of Ra and Isis. Now, Isis is Aset. I haven't said that already, but Isis is Aset, family. Look, the chapter of the divine almighty God who created himself, who made the heavens and the earth and the breath of life and fire, and the gods, and men, and beasts, and cattle, and reptiles, and the fowl of the air, and the fish, who is the king of men and gods, who existed in one form, to whom periods of 120 years are as single years, whose names by reason of their multitude are unknowable, for even the gods know them not. Now, in Egypt, yes, they had a lot of different gods, or they called them the Neteru. There were a lot of them, but technically they were all one. They were all created from like the same stuff. There is really only one Neteru. There's only one Neter. There is only one ultimate force in the universe. But this ultimate force expresses itself in various ways, which is why in some places in Egypt they would venerate one Neteru, in another place they would venerate another Neteru, in another place they would venerate another Neteru, and to the untrained eye you would be like, man, they got 100, they got 1,000 different gods. Yes and no, because all of these different Neterus and entities and gods, for lack of a better word, they were actually different manifestations and representations of one thing. There is only one thing. There is only one God. There is only one Neter who expresses themselves in multiple ways. Okay? So if an individual say, oh, you read one story, Amun-Ra created everything. You read another story, Ptah created everything. Technically, Ptah and Amun-Ra, they the same. They're the same when you really get down into the details. So in this particular story that we're looking at, Amun-Ra is the creator of the heavens and earth. He is the creator of the breath of life. He is the one that put the breath of life into everything that's alive on planet Earth. Okay? He created all of the beasts, all of the cattle, all of the reptiles, the air, the fish. He the top. He the top. Is nothing above him. All his names, he has multiple names. You feel me? He's known by many names because he is represented in many different ways. Every Neteru is him, represented in a different form. You know, in today's understanding, we may say, you know, oh, it's multiple forces of the universe. There's only one universe, but there's different forces that work in the universe, but they all work in unison to make the universe work. The universe without gravity isn't really the universe, right? Gravity itself is a force found in the universe, but the universe itself would not be the universe without this gravity. So yes, gravity is its own force. It does its own thing, but gravity is one with the universe. Even the planets, the stars, right? The elements. Yes, they are their own thing. They have their own purpose, but they are things that make up what we call the universe. The universe is the thing that is all encompassing of everything that we know. All of the forces, all of the things that these forces have created, that is the universe. The earth is part of the universe. The planets are part of the sun is part of the universe. Gravity is part of the universe. Okay? Helium, hydrogen, carbon, iron, calcium, it's all part of the universe. It has its own particular role within the universe, but it is the universe itself. You may have to take some time to meditate on that, but you will get it. Look what they say. Behold, the goddess Isis lived in the form of a woman who had the knowledge of words of power. So she already knows words of power. She already knows Heka. She already knows magic. Okay? And she learned this directly from Tahuti, or who some people know as Thoth. This is the individual Neter who gave Heka magic, words of power to mankind. Her heart turned away in disgust from the millions of men, and she chose for herself the millions of the gods, but esteemed more highly the millions of the spirits. This is her questioning herself. Was it not possible to become even as was Ra in heaven and upon earth, and to make herself mistress of the earth and a mighty goddess? Thus, she meditated in her heart by the knowledge of the name of the holy God. Now, she wants to become, she's not thinking about men. Remember, she was married to Asar. Asar's dead. Whatever. So, hold on just a second. Let me make sure that the video is still going. Look like, okay. Let me make sure the video is still going. Look like it was buffering. Okay, we good. Okay, so she tells herself, you know what? I'm not worried about men. I'm not worried about finding another husband. I'm thinking about the gods. I'm thinking about the spirits. I want to become more powerful. I want to know more magic, more Heka. I want to be able to do more. I want to be more powerful on the earth. And so she's seen the highest being, Ra, or Amun Ra, who created everything. And she wondered, can I become as powerful as Amun Ra? And so what she did is she meditated in her heart by the knowledge of the name of Amun Ra. Now, on the surface, what's his name? Amun Ra. Obviously, they're calling him Ra. So why is she trying to figure out his name? The story is going to tell you, but Ra isn't his name. Ra is his name, but Ra isn't his name. Check this out. Before we go further in the story, I want to show you guys something. Now, in ancient Egypt, right, the word Ren is the word for name. Ren. Ren is name. But it's not just how you may think of name. Like my name, Matthew Daniels, the greatest author of all time. Right? The greatest author of all time. Ren is a lot more deeper than that. Look, this in the Metal Net. I'm showing it to you in the dictionary. We got Ren, name, plural. Okay, go down. Ren right here. Divine name, accursed name, imperishable name, names, great names, Lord of names. Ren-ur, the full official name of the king. Ren-nu, the names of the limbs of Ra, which became the gods of his company. Remember, I told you all of the gods are pretty much, they're all part of the same. They all one. They all one. And when they say Ren-nu, that's the names of the limbs, the arms, legs, torso, whatever, the limbs of Ra, which became the gods of his company. So the gods, the Neteru that are in the company of Ra, are really his limbs. And each of them have their own name. Why is this important? Because the ancient Egyptians believed that whenever something came into existence, right? When something comes into existence, or when you become aware of something new in existence, because all of this stuff is already here, you just may not be aware of it right now. When they become aware of something new in existence, they have to give it a name. Why do you give it a name? Because the name encompasses what it actually is. Remember, Heka, words of power, magic, the definition that you give to a thing, okay, actually can give you power over it. To understand the thing is to name a thing and define it. You can't name it and define it if you don't understand it. Well, you can, but you're going to define it incorrectly and you're just going to be wrong. But to the Egyptian, everything that came into existence had to have a name. And sometimes these things have several names. It's like me, right? My name is Matthew Daniels, right? But I also have another name. I'm a human. That's a name for me. I'm a male. That's a name for me. I'm African American. That's a name for me. All of these names identify and define aspects and roles of me. I'm dad. I'm brother. You see, I have all of these different names. Now, my name, Matthew Daniels, right? That name now encompasses my personality as opposed to your personality. Because if I say human, yeah, that's a name for me, but that's also a name for you. There's really no distinction between me and you. We're all humans. And if you're African American is a name, but that doesn't individualize me. That doesn't really encompass who I am. But when you say Matthew Daniels and the definitions that you put to it, oh, I'm the greatest author that ever walked planet Earth. Boom, I'm casting a spell. I'm attaching that to my name. I'm attaching that to my personality. Matthew Daniels, greatest author that ever walked the face of planet Earth. You see, I'm number one. It's never been another like me, and there will never be another like me after I'm gone. My name. So Amun-Ra, his name, yes, is Amun-Ra. What does that even mean? That name, Amun, is like hidden, mysterious, like that which is unknowable. Ra is the sun. So the simple name Amun-Ra, they're just talking about the hidden, mysterious, unknowable, like power or force that powers the sun, that causes the sun to sit up in the sky. And so Aset was saying, you know what? That's not it. I want to know your real name. And how do you know that he has a real name? Because the simple fact that his name is Amun-Ra, the hidden, mysterious, unknowable power behind the sun, she wants to know that thing that is hidden, right? Because if she can understand the name of that thing that is hidden, and she can understand the definition of it, really wrap her mind around it, then she will be able to wrap her name around the actual essence of the sun itself. The actual power, they're talking about the power of the sun. She wants to understand the power of the sun. I'm going to show you guys something. I'm gonna show you guys something. Hold on. Let's stop sharing. Hold on. Let me get out of that. And let's go here. We talking about the sun, right? We're talking about the sun. She wants to know this. This is what this story is about. She wants to know the secret name of the sun. Boom. Little Wikipedia. We're gonna pull it up. It's good enough. Check this out. We're talking about the sun, right? The sun is the star at the center of the solar system. We all understand that. It is a massive, nearly perfect sphere of hot plasma, heated to incandescence by nuclear fusion reactions in its core, radiating the energy from its surface mainly as visible light and infrared radiation with 10% at ultraviolet energies. Now, if nobody ever told you that, you wouldn't know it. You would not know. You would not know that there is nuclear fusion going on in the core of the sun. That's what makes it light up. That's what gives you the visible light from the sun. That's what sends off the infrared radiation. Look, it is by far the most important source of energy for life on Earth. The sun has been an object of veneration in many cultures. It has been a central subject for astronomical research since antiquity. So you can look up in the sky, you see the sun, you know the sun is there. You can even understand the name sun. But do you understand what powers the sun? Right? Do you know the real name of the sun or the real essence of the sun? Why does it give off visible light? Do you even know what infrared radiation actually is? You can get a basic idea that, oh, without the sun, there wouldn't be any life on Earth. But what is causing that to happen? The only way you can find out is through science, right? Through science, observation, experimentation, research. You got to figure that out. So what I'm telling you is, in our language, we understand that it's nuclear fusion going on, but within the core of the sun. That nuclear fusion, the understanding of that hydrogen and helium, right? And how those elements are interacting with one another. We know about the helium, we know about the hydrogen, we know about how they interact with one another, and we know about the energy that is given off. Oh, boom, that's what's making the sun tick. You see? But until you understand that, what can you not do? You cannot try to replicate the power of the sun because you don't even understand what it really is. But once you understand nuclear fusion, once you understand hydrogen and helium, once you understand that, you can do what? You can make the type of bombs that they have today. You can, in essence, recreate the nuclear fusion that's going on in the sun, but you got to understand it first. You have to know the name, and you have to know the definition of the name, and that has to make sense. So when I said it's talking about she wants to be as powerful as the Neteru, the forces in nature, the sun is the most powerful force that they knew of. And she's saying, you know what? I want to have the power. That sun, the sun is powerful. I want to know the words of power so I can control the sun, and not necessarily control the sun, but recreate that power. But she knew she could only do that if she knew its real name. Amun-Ra wasn't enough. She needed to understand nuclear fusion to recreate it, just like a scientist today. In order to create these hydrogen bombs, atomic bombs, they have to understand the elements, how they interact. They have to understand what an atom is. You got to understand what an atom is. You have to understand how to split an atom. You must understand that before you can recreate the process. You see? Now, I'm not saying the ancient Egyptians ever figured out how to do this, but you don't have to know how to do something in order for your mind to be able to perform the calculations and to think about these things. It's like Einstein. Einstein came up with formulas that were basic predictions. He was just smart enough to do the math in his head. And since he was smart enough to do the math in his head, Einstein was able to say, man, you know what? If we can do this, and if we can do this, and if we can do this, we can get this kind of a result. But without having the technology to do it, it's just going to be a theory until mankind developed the technology to do it. But all you have to do is just be smart enough to work out calculations in your mind to figure some of this stuff out. You know, and a lot of these ancient Egyptians, they were real smart. They were real smart, but that's what the actual story is talking about. She's trying to get the power of the actual sun, but it's not in no mythological fake phony way. She's really thinking about actually getting that power to recreate the process. You know, recreate the process. Let's go back in here. We did the rim, we did the name. All right, you understand what a name is. Let me show you something. I'm gonna show you something. Let's see. Okay, so look. Behold, Ra entereth heaven each day at the head of his mariners, establishing himself upon the double throne of the two horizons. Now the divine one had become old. He dribbled at the mouth, and let his emissions go forth from him upon the earth, and his spittle fell upon the ground. This Isis kneaded in her hand with some dust, and she fashioned it in the form of a sacred serpent and made it to have the form of a dart, meaning it could move fast, so that none might be able to escape alive from it. And she left it lying upon the road, whereupon the great God traveled according to his desire about the two lands. So she understood that she had to trick Ra into telling her his secret name. So she said, okay, how can I get him to do this? I have to bring him to the point of death. And then I have to tell him that the only way to heal him is if he tell me his secret name so that I can heal him. Now, since the sun is the most powerful thing in our solar system, and it was the most powerful thing that the ancient Egyptians actually knew of, she knew that she needed to use the power of the sun itself to actually, the power of Amun-Ra himself to actually harm him. Nothing else would be able to harm him. Like right now, like just think, I can make a grenade, right? I can make a grenade. I throw a grenade into the sun, it'll do nothing. Nothing at all, right? I can make a bow and arrow. I shoot my bow, say I get close enough, I shoot my bow and arrow into the sun, it'll do nothing at all. I could even take the whole planet Earth and run and drive the whole planet Earth right into the sun, it'll do nothing at all. It's nothing. The idea is there's nothing in this observable solar system that can hurt the sun, because the sun makes up like 98, 99% of all the mass inside of the solar system. Everything revolves around it because it is the biggest and the baddest. You could throw every planet in the solar system at it and it's just going to gobble it up. So the idea that these primitive people had thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, she's saying, well, look, it's nothing else that I can use to hurt Amun-Ra. I can only use a portion of itself. So she takes his spit, mixes it with dust. She makes a serpent. She leaves the serpent in an area where he walks by, because the gods come down to earth, walks by, so that serpent can bite him, inject the poison into him, and then she can start her plan. Let's go down a little bit. So the serpent bites Ra, he says, and the mighty God opened his mouth, and the cry of his majesty, life, strength, health, reached unto the heavens. And the company of the God said, what is it? And his God said, what is the matter? And the God found no words wherewith to answer concerning himself. His jaws shook, his lips trembled, and the poison took possession of all his flesh, just as Hapi, i.e. the Nile River, taketh possession of the land. So the venom is running through his quote-unquote veins. Then the great God made firm his heart, i.e. he took courage, and he cried out to those who were in his following, come ye unto me, O ye who have come into being from my members, ye gods who have proceeded from me. For I would make you to know what had happened. Again, they're reiterating the point that there is really only one Neter. There's only one God. It's only one that expresses itself in multiple ways. These other gods in this story are described as the limbs and the members of Amun-Ra, right? They appear to be individual entities, but they're really part of him. He says, I have been smitten by some deadly thing, of which my heart hath no knowledge, in which I have neither seen with my eyes nor made with my hand, and I have no knowledge at all who hath done this to me. I have never before felt any pain like unto it, and no pain can be worse than this is. I am a prince, the son of a prince, and the divine emanation which was produced from a God. I am the great one, the son of the great one, and my father had determined for me my name. Again, my father had determined for me my name. We're talking about the name again. Remember, the name encompasses what and who you truly are. So Amun-Ra is lamenting how powerful he is. And he's basing, I've never felt nothing like this before in my life. I'm the king. I rule these other gods. Y'all just my members. What the heck has happened? How can something hurt me? Look, he says, I have multitudes of names and I have multitudes of forms. And my being existed in every god. Pay attention, man. Don't let them fool you. Yes, there's a lot of gods in ancient Egypt, but there's really only one. There's really only one. I have multitudes of names and I have multitudes of forms. And my being existed in every god. Every god is a part of him. He is a part of every god. All the gods are part of one big conglomerate. I have been invoked or proclaimed by Temu and Heru Hekanu. My father and my mother uttered my name, and they hid it in my body at my birth, so that none of those who would use against me words of power might succeed in making their enchantments have dominion over me. I want y'all to stop, zoom out, and listen to just look at the picture that I've been painting for you. He says, Amun-Ra says, his mother and his father uttered his name at his birth, and they hid it in his body. What did I tell you at the beginning? Yes, he has a multitude of names just like me. I'm Matthew Daniels. I'm human. I'm African American. I'm male. I'm whatever name I'm American. Whatever. You can make up names all day, every day. Right? There could be a multitude of names for you, for me, whatever. Okay? But then there is a name that actually encompasses you. It distinguishes you from all others who may be similar. And it is within that name that actually holds your essence. And it is that name that holds your essence. It is that information, not just the name. It's that information, because a name comes with a definition that individuals can use against you. Check this out. Let's say, and I'm going to say me. Let's say I'm very, very sensitive. Right? Like the real me. Not, I can go out in public and I can pretend to be strong and I can pretend like don't nothing hurt me and I don't care what nobody say. But on the inside, I could be a very, very sensitive individual. And words do matter. Right? And when people say that they don't like me, that cuts me deep. That sears my soul. Now I can fake it. And I can never tell anybody that, because why? I know if they really know my name of insecurity, they can use their words of power to hurt me. Right? They can, oh man, you short, you ugly, you fat, you this, you that, you got big feet, you got big lips, your teeth crooked, you know? And even though I'm putting on a face, since they have figured out my real name, They have really found out the real me that I'm trying to hide so bad. Then they can have power over me and use those words of power to hurt me, to destroy me, to break me down. And not even in a psychological sense. It could be something as simple as, let's say, rabies. I'm gonna just throw rabies, a disease, right? No, let's say cancer. Let's say cancer. A lot of people die from cancer, okay? But we know the name cancer, right? We can know the name cancer, and we can know that it attacks the cells, and still we can do nothing about it. Why? Because science and medicine has to really figure out what creates cancer, what is it made of, what is its weaknesses, what is its real name, what is the real essence of it. And then you can, once you figure that out, you can attack that and you can break the cancer down. But if you don't know the name, if you don't know what's embedded within it when it comes into creation, you can't do anything about it. And you see, he says, my father and my mother uttered my name and they hid it. Listen to the words. They hid it in my body at my birth. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back because I got to, y'all, I really want y'all to get this. I really want y'all to get this, man. So can't nobody fool you. Can't nobody fool you. Let my screen share show up, catch up. Remember, we're talking about the sun. Now, some people, they're going to watch this video and they're going to be like, Pooh is pseudo. How does he know that they're talking about the nuclear fusion and they're talking about science? He's pseudo. Well, okay, perhaps. But Amun-Ra said that his real name, he has a multitude of names that everybody know, but his real name was hidden inside of him at his birth. And his parents did that so nobody could hurt him. Remember what it says. See if I can highlight it. I'm going to highlight it. Look, when we're talking about the sun is a star at the center of the solar system. It is a massive, nearly perfect sphere of hot plasma heated to incandescence by nuclear fusion at its core. By nuclear fusion at its core. Where is the core of the sun? It's in the center of the sun. The power that emanates out, that creates the visible light. You see it because of this. The infrared radiation, the radiation is the heat source that gives life on planet Earth. This visible light, this infrared radiation is because of nuclear fusion going on in its core. The process of what's happening on the inside of the sun is the thing that gives it its power. Let's go back from current slide. Let's do it again. Look, my father and my mother uttered my name and they hid it in my body at my birth. So, is it pseudo for me to say, given all of the information I've been building up to y'all, that the name, the process of nuclear fusion and everything that comes along with it, the knowledge of hydrogen, nuclear fusion, etc., that they hid it in his body, in his core, at his birth? You see what I'm saying? So that none of those who would use against me words of power might succeed in making their enchantments have dominion over me. And if you understand nuclear fusion, hydrogen and helium and all that good stuff, then there are things that you can do about it. I'm telling you, this is what they're talking about. Okay, this is Egyptian magic. Right? Now, some of it doesn't make sense and some of it may be bad science, but this is This is what they were trying to do. Not all of it. Not all of it. Some of it was casting enchantments and putting curses on people. Some of it was all of that good stuff that we're going to get to later on in the series. But in this, the Legend of Isis and Ra, this is what this is about. Look, I had come forth from my tabernacle to look upon that which I had made, and was making my way through the two lands which I had made, when a blow was aimed at me, but I know not of what kind. The two lands is basically Egypt, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. He says, behold, it is fire. Behold, is it water? My heart is full of burning fire. My limbs are shivering, and my members have darting pains in them. Let there be brought unto me my children, the gods, who possess words of magic, whose mouths are cunning in uttering them, and whose powers reach up to heaven. Then his children came unto him, and every god was there with this cry of lamentation. And Isis, I said, came with her words of magic, and the place of her mouth was filled with the breath of life. For the words which she put it together destroy diseases, and her words make to live those whose throats are choked, i.e. dead. She could bring people back from the dead. Okay? And she said, what is this, O divine Father? What is it? Hath the serpent shot his venom into thee? Hath the thing which thou hast fashioned lifted up his head against thee? Verily, it shall be overthrown by beneficent words of power, and I will make it to retreat in the sight of thy rays. The holy God opened his mouth, saying, and he tells her that, he was walking through the countryside. He got bit by something. It was a serpent, and now the poison is going through his body. And he talks about how he's sweating, he's shaking, he's unsteady. And basically the author talks about what happens to an individual when they're bit by a poisonous snake. So look, now remember, Isis sent the snake. So this is what she says. And Isis said unto Ra, O my divine Father, tell me thy name. For he who is able to pronounce his name liveth. Now, again, this lends credibility to what I told you about the name, because she's already know the name of Ra. They all know that name. He says, and Ra said, look how he answers, I am the maker of the heavens and the earth. I have knit together the mountains, and I have created everything which existed upon them. I am the maker of the waters, and I have made Met-Ur to come into being. I have made the bull of his mother, and I have made the joys of love to exist. I am the maker of heaven, and I have made to be hidden the two gods of the horizon, and I have placed the souls of the gods within them. I am the being who openeth his eyes, and the light cometh. I am the being who shutteth his eyes, and there is darkness. I am the being who giveth the command, and the waters of Hapi, the Nile River, burst forth. I am the being whose name the gods know not. I am the maker of the hours and the creator of the days. I am the opener, i.e. inaugurator of the festivals, and the maker of the flood waters. I am the creator of the fire of life, whereby the works of the houses are caused to come into being. I am Khepra in the morning, and Ra at the time of his culmination, i.e. noontime, and Tamu in the evening. Now, even after she asks his name, he goes on this long soliloquy talking about his attributes. I'm this, I'm that. I created the heavens and earth. My light goes forth and shines on the earth. I created this, I created that. Yada, 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 yada. B.I.G., Black Intelligent Gentleman, what's good? What's good? What you found? What's good? What you? Thanks for tapping in. Thanks for tapping in. And so look, she asks his name. He gives all these attributes. But what does it say? Nevertheless, the poison was not driven from its course, and the great God felt no better, because I told you the name that she wants is not the name associated in necessarily what he produces or what he can create, but rather what creates him. the nuclear fusion at the core. What creates him? She wants to know what creates him, because if she knows what creates him, she can recreate the process for herself. It's like back engineering something. Yeah, I can see you got a boat. Yeah, have I never seen a boat before? And you got a boat and it's floating down the river. You tell me, yeah, this boat can go down the river. It can go over waves. It can go into cold waters. It can do this. That's nice. That's good for me to know. But until I understand how you built it and how to build one for myself, I really don't have the power. I need the power to build my own boat. So she needs the power. She wants the power to do what Amun-Ra does. They're talking about that nuclear fusion. Look, she says, then Isis said unto Ra, among the things which thou hast said unto me, thy name had not been mentioned. Like, no, I want to know, how were you created? What makes you tick? What keeps you going? Because again, Amun-Ra, the name, Amun-Ra, we say it, but Amun-Ra literally means the hidden, mysterious, unseen power or force behind the sun. The hidden, mysterious force or power that gives the sun its power, that makes the sun do what it does. Look, she says, oh, declare thou it unto me, thy name, and the poison shall come forth. For the person who hath declared his name shall live. You have to understand the essence of a thing to manipulate it. That's why science is so important. You have to study something, and you even have to study people. You have to study people. If you study people, you can control them, you can manipulate them, and you can better their existence. But you have to understand what makes them tick. Everybody isn't the same. Look, meanwhile, the poison burned with blazing fire, and the heat thereof was stronger than that of a blazing flame. Then the majesty of Ra said, I will allow myself to be searched through by Isis, and my name shall come forth from my body and go into hers. He's finally acquiescing. The deception has worked. The poison is so bad, he's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to let you find out my name. But he doesn't just tell her his name. Why? Because they're saying name, but it's not just the name, Matthew Daniels. It's the essence behind the name, the definition behind the name, all the intricacies behind the name. So Ra says, okay, I'm going to let you search me through and through. And my name, that which makes me tick, that which brought me into existence, that which sustains me, will come forth from my body and go into yours. She is going to be able to take a look, peer behind the veil, understand the nuclear fusion, understand helium, understand hydrogen, understand the atoms and how they're splitting and breaking and creating the natural light and creating the radiation. Understand the radiation, understand how that proceeds from the core of the sun and why it is so powerful and why that can shine light on this solar system and why everything revolves around it. They're talking about her getting an understanding, a scientific understanding of the sun. Then the divine one hid himself from the gods, and the throne in the boat of millions of years was empty. Basically, like, I'm going to let Isis or Aset, you can know my secrets alone, because this is the only way that I'm going to be saved. But I'm not going to reveal my secrets to anyone else. Because remember, to understand the secret, to understand his name, is how you can harm him, how you can destroy him, right? And we all know the sun will not last forever. When will the sun cease to exist? Well, when the nuclear fusion inside of the sun stops. That thing that encompasses his name. That's how you destroy the sun. You interrupt the process of nuclear fusion at the core. But you can't disrupt the process of nuclear fusion at the core, for one, if you don't know what's going on there. If you can't get to it, if you can't reach it, you have to understand so many different different sciences, and then the sun's so hot you can't even get that close to it. But this is the idea that they're expressing in this. And it came to pass that when it was the time for the heart to come forth from the god, she said unto her son Horus or Heru, the great god shall bind himself by an oath to give his 2 eyes. Thus was the great god made to yield up his name. Now these 2 eyes are in reference to the sun and the moon. And so this is how Amun-Ra was made to give up his name to Aset, to yield up his name. And it goes on to say, Isis, the great lady of enchantment, said, flow on, poison, and come forth from Ra. Let the eye of Horus come forth from the god and shine outside his mouth. I have worked, and I make the poison to fall on the ground, for the venom hath been mastered. Verily, the name hath been taken away from the great god. Now remember, the serpent was made from the spittle of Amun-Ra. Okay, so in order for her enchantments to work on the venom of the snake, this how diabolical it was, she had to understand the power that the damn serpent had. But since the serpent came from Ra, she also had to understand the power of Ra. That's how she got him into the trick bag. That's how she got him into the trick bag. She said, verily, the name hath been taken away from the great god. Let Ra live, and let the poison die. And if the poison live, then Ra shall die. And similarly, a certain man, the son of a certain man, shall live, and the poison shall die. I'm going to explain that in just a second. These were the words which spake Isis, the great lady, the mistress of the gods, and she had knowledge of Ra in his own name. The above words shall be said over an image of Tamu, and an image of Heru Hekanu, and over an image of Isis and an image of Horus. Now, why are they saying that? Remember, I told you guys that medicine, magic, science is always mixed into a ball in ancient Egypt. So not only is this story talking about the divine name of Ra, but it's also saying that in order to heal someone, you have to know what made them sick. You have to know the intricacies of what made them sick. So in essence, they would use this quote unquote spell, or they would say some of these words over an individual that was bitten by an actual venomous snake. Now, mind you, based on the story itself and what I just broke down for you, they don't think that if someone gets bit by a poisonous snake, they can simply say this and the person will be healed. No, that's foolishness, because they already told you that in order to heal the person, you have to have an intimate knowledge of the name of the thing that harmed them. So in essence, they're talking about if you get bit by a snake, the doctor has to know what kind of snake bit you. They have to have the name of the venom, not just the name of the venom, how the venom works, and they have to be able to use that to make anti-venom. A lot of anti-venom is made with venom. A lot of anti-venom is made with the venom of a snake. So if an individual came and they was bit by a snake, they're telling you that, okay, they need to know what kind of snake it was, know how big it was or whatever. It bit them, then they can consult their text and be like, okay, for this type of snake, for this type of venom, this is what you do. Then they would do their medical process to save the person's life who was bitten by the venomous snake, but they would also implement the words of power, the heck of the magic, and they would recite some of these words over these images of Tamu, Heru, Hekanu, Isis, and Horus, and they would say that over the individual, and they would let the medicine and the magic do its thing. Okay? They would let the medicine and the magic do its thing. Okay? And so the sun, a massive star at the center of our galaxy, and we have Amun Ra, the hidden mysterious power of the sun. Okay, so this is what this story is actually talking about: the legend of Isis and Ra. It's talking about that nuclear fusion that's going on at the core. Now, I don't know if the ancient Egyptians ever really understood nuclear fusion and what it is, and hydrogen and helium. I don't know if they had the tools to figure that out, but it appears that they did understand that it was something going on in the core of the sun that caused the sun to have the power that it had. And they understood that, okay, based on our calculations, mathematical calculations, and based on what we can physically see, we understand that, oh, it's something going on in the center of that sun. And if you understand what's going on in the center of that sun to make the sun do that, oh, you can have that type of power right here on Earth. And in modern times, we figured that out because we've made weapons. We've made weapons, quote unquote, weapons of mass destruction based on that knowledge. And for the first time in human history, they say we have created the means to destroy ourselves. How did we do that? Because we understood and we figured out the secret name of the sun. The same thing that the ancient Egyptians was trying to figure out back in the day. So we're gonna end it there. So this video, we've been talking about the legend of Isis and Ra. We've been talking about Egyptian magic. How does it work, and is it real? Now I'm going to be doing like a little series on this. So we're going to be talking about some more stories. We're going to be talking about some more Egyptian magic. I'm going to be breaking this stuff down for you a little bit more. But these stories were teaching tools. So various aspects of the story. I'm a writer. Okay, I'm a writer. I'm an author. I'm the greatest author of all time. You know this. So I understand how to write. Now, various aspects of these stories are it's just filler content, things that you have to say to push the story forward. But then there's something. It's like a core, a kernel inside of the story that's the actual teaching. But then it's the other stuff to make the story parable actually make sense. So you have to actually go into it with your eyes wide open and see what they're actually trying to talk about. Okay, so Egyptian magic, it wasn't all spooky and spookism. Some of it was very superstitious. Don't get me wrong, but magic, spirituality, medicine, science, all of these things were woven together in ancient Egyptian culture. Okay, like how today you go to the you may go to church on Sunday, talk to the pastor, then when you get sick you go to the doctor and the doctor try to make you well. Then you go to college and you have your professor teach you. Well, those three roles, right, just right there, professor, doctor, spiritual advisor, one man could wear all three hats. The priest. You understand what I'm saying? All of those different fields were intimately connected together. And so you would go to one person for all of those different various needs. And so they mixed them all in together. So when you're seeing magic, you're seeing medicine and science. When you're seeing medicine, you're seeing science and magic. When you're seeing science, you're seeing magic and medicine. It's like a triangle. It's interconnected parts, you know. And later on in various dynasties of Egypt, you can see them actually trying to separate the superstition from the science and from the medicine and whatnot, and have them in their own individual fields. But for the most part of Egyptian history, it was all mixed together. You know, it was all mixed together. We just got to understand that, because like I say, we're talking about thousands and thousands of years ago. So I appreciate everybody tapping in. Appreciate everybody watching the video. I'm about to go ahead and sign out. Sorry I haven't done a video in a long time. I'm gonna come back and I'm probably gonna do another video tomorrow, staying in this same vein where we're talking about Egyptian magic, show you guys another story, break down the actual science behind it, and teach it because I don't see a lot of other people out there teaching it how it needs to be taught. So I don't know, man. Thanks for tapping in. This your brother Matthew Daniels, aka I'm Pooh, aka the real bookworm, the greatest author on the planet. May your name live on forever, and may your memory never die. Hotep, hotep. I'm out, family. Till next time.